going on, Dolphins? It's your boy Dillon, and we're back with day 6 of training camp. Obviously, yesterday there was no practice, so they got practice going again today, and so I got stuff from that, some articles, some opinions, some stuff from people that were there, media, and so on and so forth. And then also there will be at the end of this video another little round of interviews that were done. Just a couple things. I think Adam Gase spoke. I think there was a one-on-one with Akeem Spence that I'll put in there as well. So to get to it, the first one is an article by Sun Sentinel, 5 thoughts on Dolphins practice with one scary play. So real quick, before I even get into anything, there was a gasp, during practice, because something possibly happened to Tannehill, but Tannehill's fine. Play of the day for better and more worse. Ryan Tannehill back to pass in a red zone offense. Cam Wake with a strong rush. Tannehill throws early over the middle to avoid the rush, and it is intercepted by Kiko Alonso, who would have a pick six. Wake runs over Tannehill. The quarterback stays on the ground for a few extra seconds before getting up and walking gingerly. He got some cleat on his shin, Coach Adam Gase said. Still, you can rate the problems here, or perhaps the good stuff if you're Alonso. But you don't want your starting quarterback to throw a pick six in practice, and that's the best part of the play if you're the offense. Watching Tannehill get knocked down and get up slowly isn't what you want to see. That said, Tannehill appeared fine as things went on. He did, however, later take off his knee brace. I think the Dolphins would be watching. This is number 2. I think the Dolphins would be watching 2 positions intently to see who shakes out from other teams as cuts are made. 1, backup quarterback. Yes, all eyes are on David Fales and Brock Osweiler to see how they do this preseason. The Dolphins keep saying they're happy with them. What else should they say? But for a team with no margin for error, it could be better if a veteran is around. And 2, kicker. They've got 2 rookie kickers in camp. Remember a couple of years ago when Cody Parkey was cut by Cleveland and signed by the Dolphins in the week before the opener? We'll see how these rookies do as the season goes on. Number 3, now someone's playing with us. After Adam Gase said Albert Wilson was only an outside receiver, Wilson lined up in the slot at times on Wednesday. He did not say, and this is this by David Hyde from there. But a lot of these guys, anyway, he did not say Albert Wilson was just an outside receiver. What he said is that he's not just a slot guy. He is an outside receiver, but he has played in the slot and he's capable of doing it. So let's be clear about that. And if you saw my other, I believe it was my last video, there is, footage of that. The interviews there. Gase said what he said, so let's be clear. Okay, everyone can work all over in training camp, but still, I'll play wherever they want me to, Wilson said. Leonte Carrillo has 10 catches in 2 years and so gets his position in a crowded, if not obviously over-talented receiving group. He says he needs to perform in games. Gase underlined that. When you play receiver in practice, the limited amount of reps we get, when we get to preseason games, guys need to separate themselves. Number 5, Minkah Fitzpatrick seemed to be the favorite draw of high school players Wednesday because they have recent bias more than anyone. I'm not sure what the fuck he's saying. Still, there was room for old school as Dan Marino was a draw as seen in this photo. And they put a photo of that. Anyway, so that's that. Whatever. Let's see. Real quick. Make sure. Okay. Next one is from Dolphins Wire. ESPN makes bold prediction about Dolphins wide receiver Danny Amendola. On Wednesday, ESPN made its bold predictions for all 32 teams now that training camp has begun. The prediction on about the Miami Dolphins wasn't shocking at all. Bills reporter Mike Rodak believes Danny Amendola will lead the Dolphins in receptions this year. The Dolphins do not have a clear-cut number one receiver, which could open the door for Amendola to become quarterback Ryan Tannehill's favorite target despite playing in the slot. Jarvis Landry put up big numbers for Miami in that role the past 4 seasons, and according to Miami Herald, Amendola has been receiving first-team reps over fellow free agent acquisition Albert Wilson early in training camp. Rodak is correct. Amendola has quickly become Ryan Tannehill's favorite target throughout training camp. It wouldn't surprise anyone if Amendola led the Dolphins in receptions if he can stay healthy. Amendola has played all 16 games in a season, just twice with the last time coming in 2014. If he can remain healthy, Amendola could have 70 to 80 receptions this season. On the first day of training camp, Amendola spoke about his chemistry with Tannehill. Ryan is a great quarterback, Amendola said. He's played a lot of great football. He's a Texas guy. He's a good kid. It's great to learn from him and try to get on the same page. I can't wait to get out there and play with him. I don't know if Danny Amendola is going to lead the team in receptions. I think he's definitely going to be a big part. He'll make some clutch plays for us, all that good stuff. He'll definitely be a safety blanket, a dump off, third or fourth read. He'll definitely be, there for third downs as a pretty reliable guy. But, the ball's going to get super spread around. We have running backs that are going to be catching the ball. We're deep at receiver. We have tight ends. I don't know. I don't know about that, but we'll see. I definitely think he's going to be a big part, but I think all of the receivers are going to end up being a big part. All right, here's one from Bleacher Report. A scout's take on all the 32 teams into camp right now. Let's see. Scouts take on the AFC East. Let's see. The Dolphins. I'd say 80 or 90% of the league thinks Ryan Tannehill is a bust. He's not accurate enough, and I don't think he ever will be. Okay. Wow. People are just wild, bruh. I'm starting to not even know what the fuck to say anymore. Honestly, you guys know how I feel. You know how you feel as Dolphins fans. A lot of Dolphins fans don't like Ryan Tannehill. But, man, just some of the shit that people say is just absolutely ridiculous with nothing to back it up. It's just they say these blanket opinions that really have no relevance and have no proof to them. But, whatever. Hey, whatever. So another Sun Sentinel article, Dolphins linebacker Kiko Alonso working on improving in pass coverage. Dolphins coach Adam Gase almost shrugged off the question. When asked if he thought linebacker Kiko Alonso paid attention to outside criticism, Gase nearly laughed. I think he's focused on really what we're doing, Gase said Wednesday. I don't think he worries about anything that's going on outside of here. He's a very good professional and he focuses on what he has to do and tries to get better every day. Whatever he has that day, he gives it to you. Alonso was an easy scapegoat when the Dolphins linebackers were beaten by tight ends in pass coverage. Last year, they allowed a league-high 94 receptions for 1,034 yards to tight ends. The 10 touchdowns they gave up were tied for second highest. During organized team activities, linebackers coach Frank Bush was openly critical of Alonso because he felt Alonso could play better. Most of the criticism was directed toward Alonso's pass coverage. He did what we felt he should do, Bush said in May. He can play better. He can play better in coverage. Some of his tackling was suspect, but we're working on those things. I think he'll be better. Still, Bush didn't place all the blame on Alonso. Part of it was the linebackers still adjusting to a new position coach. With me being the first year with him, it was kind of up and down, Bush said. I was expecting a lot more from him. I'm sure he expected a lot more from me. Plus, let's not also, real quick before I finish this, let's also not, forget the entire team struggled, and he actually didn't do that bad. I think he even he might have been like 1 or 2 for tackles on the team. He still had over 100. He still performed pretty well, and he had to cover oftentimes for the other inefficiencies in our linebacker unit or elsewhere, because people were failing. And he made mistakes too. Sure, absolutely. And he can absolutely play better. But he didn't actually do that bad. If you look at the production and the stats and stuff like that, he actually did fairly well. And if you look at the play, he actually did fairly well. So, if you look at the tape, he actually did fairly well. So, I need to stop coming down on this dude. And he's going to be good for us this year, just like he has been pretty much every year now that he's been with us. He's been solid, if not good, or great. Alonso said it's a matter of the defense communicating better. That's definitely something that needs to be at a high level to get to where we want to be, Alonso said Wednesday. It's really between everybody just to communicate. And that's another thing. I mean, there were tons of communication breakdowns, for sure. Alonso, who moved from middle to weak side linebacker in the offseason, has made the appropriate adjustments. There's also that. He's been moved around a ton. I mean, there's lots of reasons, dude, and it shouldn't just fucking come down on him like that. That was evident when he returned an interception for a touchdown in Wednesday's practice. Actually, K-Flexen, if you know him, he has a... he did a video recently on Kiko Alonso. He's never been he says himself, he was never really, he's been kind of hard on Kiko, but when you actually look at the facts of his career and how things have gone for him, he doesn't deserve the criticism that he gets. Just like Tannehill, man. It's fucking crazy. Anyway. That was evident when he returned an interception for a touchdown in Wednesday's practice. And he makes plays like he did today. That's good to see because he's been a guy that's been steady since he's been here, Gase said. He's played through a couple of injuries that I'm sure it wasn't the most comfortable situation a few times where he just doesn't say a word and just goes out and tries to make plays and help us win. Alonso shrugged some last year because he was still recovering from a broken thumb that ended his 2016 season. Without the responsibilities of a middle linebacker, that position now belongs to second-year player Raekwon McMillan. Alonso should have more opportunity to roam and make plays in the passing game. I think the key is go out there and every day and give it everything you got, Alonso said. Just keep working together and playing hard and going out there on the attack. Comfort level is also on Alonso's side. He is entering his third season in Miami, which is the longest stop of his career. He played 1 year with the Buffalo Bills and Philadelphia Eagles. I've been fortunate to stay here, Alonso said. I'm just going to give it everything I got. Everywhere I've been, that's what I've tried to do. I'm not worried about him. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this is just tons of fucking, there's so much Dolphins hate, criticism, skepticism, all that stuff, and I'm not playing in I'm not playing into it. I'm not playing into it, and I love it though, from the aspect of is that much more, just keep piling on, so that way when we do fucking steal the AFC East and fucking make it to the AFC Championship game and everything, people are going to be like, wow. That way Tannehill can get his MVP and comeback player of the year. That way Gase can get his coach of the year. That way Minkah Fitzpatrick can get his defensive player of the year. The more dramatic it is, the more likely that's going to happen. And then that way we can have players voted to the Pro Bowl, like 8 players voted to the Pro Bowl, including Tannehill and whatever. So bring it on, man. Bring on the hate. But I'm so ready at this point to fucking finally get, shit that people can't argue with, right? So games played, stats in the book, all that stuff, wins, with spectacular stats and production from the whole team. That way people can't argue with that. You can't argue with facts and results. So, I'm ready for that. And it's right around the corner. Next week we have tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game. I think it's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game, but next week we have our first preseason game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which means we're actually, over the course of this week, the team should start doing their preparations for that game. Probably towards the end of the week into the weekend, though, because then they also will have practice next week before the game. Dolphins cornerback Tony Lippett, let's see, this is a Dolphins Wire article. Dolphins cornerback Tony Lippett says he is close to returning to his 2016 form. Dolphins cornerback Tony Lippett was coming off the best season of his career at this time last year when tragedy struck. During training camp, Lippett tore his Achilles as he missed the entire 2017 season. Now a year later, Lippett says he feels good as he is ready to compete with Cordray Tankersley and Torrey McTyer for the starting cornerback position opposite Xavier Howard. Lippett also said he is close to returning to his 2016 form. It's a good competition, Lippett said to reporters on Wednesday. We're all learning from each other. We're all coming out here and competing every day, just trying to get better. That's it. In 2016, Lippett registered 67 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 10 pass breakups in 16 games with 13 starts. During training camp, Lippett has performed well as he has begun practice on the first-team defense a couple of days. On the first day of training camp last week, Lippett intercepted a pass from Brock Osweiler. Neither Lippett, Tankersley, or McTire has held on to the starting cornerback spot. Lippett says it doesn't matter if he starts on the first or second team, he is just happy for the opportunity to start. Honestly, again, I've said this several times, there's going to be a rotation. There's going to be a bunch of quarterbacks playing. I mean, there's going to be nickel and dime sets. You know, there's going to be times where teams do 3 and 4, sometimes even possibly 5 receivers. So we're going to have a lot of cornerbacks that are playing. And the good thing is, the thing that everybody should focus on is we have a lot of talent and a lot of players that can play at a high level. And there's not going to be, you know, the drop-off is going to be insignificant, you know, at most. So anyway, I'm just trying to continue to get right every day. Just come out here with a positive mindset no matter where I'm at and just play and just keep getting better, Lippett said. It's going to be tough. It's going to be trying or whatever it is. Just come out here and get better every day. I'm not worried about Lippett and I'm not worried about our secondary. I think they're going to be elite this year. Elite this year. Sorry. I know I'm not a singer, so I'm just fucking around. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Anyway, here's another Sun Sentinel article. Dolphins, Laremy Tunsil, Josh Sitton still working on their relationship. Josh Sitton, and this is Chris Perkins' article. Josh Sitton and Laremy Tunsil dance an intricate step, and it takes a bit of time to get it right. You learn each other through drills and through being on the field together, getting reps, Sitton said. But Sitton, the Dolphins' left guard, and Tunsil, the left tackle, must go a little beyond drills to work effectively during in their first season as a duo. I think it's more of a relationship, Tunsil said, and me and Sitton have a good relationship, so we're good. To this point in training camp, the Dolphins have struggled a bit as an offensive line, and Coach Jeremiah Washburn said a few days ago the line is not where we need to be. The left side where Sitton and Tunsil... Sorry. Oh, damn it. Sorry. Give me a moment. I accidentally clicked on an ad. To the left side where Sitton and Tunsil usually line up against defensive tackle Jordan Phillips and defensive end Robert Quinn has had its share of issues. Sitton, a 32-year-old four-time Pro Bowl selection, has won lots of battles against Phillips and the other tackles in pass protection, but Phillips has made his presence known a few times in the run game. Tunsil, a 2016 first-round pick, has struggled against Quinn in pass protection, where Quinn's unique ability to turn the corner with his hips and knees close to the ground have caused problems. But this is more about how Sitton and Tunsil work together than how they work as individuals. Sitton, who spent his first 8 seasons in Green Bay and his last 2 in Chicago, said there's no specific time period in which a guard and tackle work well together. I've been in situations where I played next to a guy for 3 or 4 years in a row, and I've been in situations where I've had to come in and play in just a couple of days. He said, I've had success at both. It's just more work when you don't have as much time. That's why in between drills you'll see Laremy and I just talking. We're talking through things. It's a process of learning each other. Last year the Dolphins played Ted Larson at left guard with Tunsil at left tackle. The combination wasn't successful for a variety of reasons. Tunsil, drafted as a tackle, spent his rookie season at left guard. Then he had a rough time last season in his first NFL year at left tackle. Coach Adam Gase said Tunsil made mid-season adjustments in his routine on and off the field, what he did in meetings, his recovery, and film study. He looks at it as 2 different seasons, Gase said. Sitton has replaced Larson, which the Dolphins hope leads to better production. So the work begins and continues for the new tandem on the left side of Miami's offensive line. Sitton and Tunsil aren't exactly sure when they'll be in perfect sync, but they'll know when it happens. For us, you have a drill and you fit really well together on a certain double team. You feel it and you know, oh, okay, all right, cool, we got that one down. Because you can feel when you don't, so when you get it, you know. Sunday we had a couple of really good drills and it carried over into the team period in a couple of plays. That was really nice. Yeah, I mean, see, here's the thing, right? I just want to say this. People shouldn't be scared about, the struggles the offensive line has been having, because this is the first time we've actually had continuity on the line and the same 5 guys practicing together since the beginning of OTAs. And the offensive line is one of the units that requires continuity, chemistry, stability, things like that more than pretty much any other unit on the team. And so it takes time, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. They are going, despite what a lot of people think, they are going up against a pretty fierce defensive line, and that's only going to make them better, and that is part of the reason why there have been struggles. So, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Let's get them into some preseason games. Let's just get them worked up and warmed up and ready for the season. Let's see. Bear with me for just a moment. I am checking to see if there's anything else from here, from the Bleacher Report app, if there's anything else. No. Let's see if Dolphins.com has anything real quick. I'm pretty sure there is. Let's see. Okay, yes, let's see. Alright, so this is from, hang on. Bear with me. Okay, so I got 2 things here. This is from Alan Poupart from Dolphins.com. Top news, Wilson welcomes alma mater to practice. The youth football team visiting Dolphins practice Wednesday was Port St. Lucie High School, making it a very special day for wide receiver Albert Wilson. By the way, they don't talk about it too much, but they do. The Dolphins they're great in the community. They do so much, from their meal packs to their cancer challenge to all sorts of shit all the time, always going on. And during these practices they allow high school teams to come in and check it out and stuff like that, which is really cool. So anyway, the speedy wideout signed as a free agent in the offseason, played at Port St. Lucie High before going on to Georgia State University. It's awesome, man, Wilson said. I didn't have the opportunity when I was in high school to come out here and just see how professional athletes prepare for the game. And with the first game being so far away and seeing how concentrated they are, I feel like it's a great job that the Dolphins get the high schools out here and just get the opportunity to see it. Wilson said he had a lot of good memories of his days playing football at Port St. Lucie High, including scoring a lot of touchdowns. He pointed out that some members of the coaching staff remained from his time at the Palm Beach County School. He also was clear with what he hoped the high school players would take away from their visit. Just how to prepare, Wilson said, just that their dream is possible. Coming from the same high school that I did to come here and play professional football, I hope it gives them a little pep in their step of what they want to accomplish. Wilson was asked what he would tell himself if he could go back and talk to his 14-year-old self. I feel like at 14 I was pretty straightforward and had my mind made up of playing football, he said. Just don't doubt yourself. There are a lot of times I doubted myself and wondered if this was for me or not. I stayed with it and I found out it was for me. If I were to go back then, I'd just tell myself, don't doubt myself. Lippett cuts it loose. It was around this time last year that cornerback Tony Lippett sustained an Achilles injury that would cost him the entire 2017 season. But he's not even thinking about it these days. I feel like it's out of my mind, he said. I don't think about it. I don't ever question myself out here because I know the hard work I put in through this whole last year. So I don't second guess myself out here. Not when I'm cutting or running or anything like that. Jumping. I don't second guess myself. I just go. Head coach Adam Gase said Lippett, who appears to be battling with Cordray Tankersley and Torrey McTyer for one of the 2 starting cornerback jobs, has made significant progress in returning to the form he showed in 2016 when he led the Dolphins with 4 interceptions, but just needs more consistency. I think he's had some days where he's looking more like he was in 2016, Gase said. I think he just has to focus on what he's doing right now. He has to put that injury behind him. I think eventually that'll move away from him. I think it's going to happen more when we start playing games and we can get tackling and it gets a little more physical and real for him. I think once he gets into a preseason game, all of that will just go behind him and he'll be able to go play. Bright outlook for Branch. Defensive end Andre Branch is in his 3rd training camp with the Dolphins, and it's a happy time for him for a couple of reasons. One big reason is he's fully healthy after dealing with an injury late last season. It feels good to be healthy for once again. healthy once again. He said, I played half the season hurt, and it just feels good to be back to 100%. Branch said it was difficult watching film of himself last season because he didn't feel that was a true representation of his ability. Now that he's ready to get back to his 2016 form and be part of what has the makings of a tremendous defensive end rotation with Cameron Wake, Robert Quinn, William Hayes, and Charles Harris. That was one of the factors that led to a heightened sense of excitement as training camp 2018 started. For sure, he said, I love this game. The Dolphins want me here. I want to be here. My teammates love me. That's all I can ask for. Praise for Hayes. Veteran defensive end William Hayes doesn't seem to attract a lot of attention from the media, but Gase said he doesn't go unnoticed by his teammates and coaches. Well, we notice him in practice, Gase said. I know our players notice him. He does a great job. Every day is a game to him. He doesn't take any plays off. He takes everything he does as serious as anybody I've ever been around. When we traded for him and we got him, and when he got injured last year, that was a big swing for us because he was really our attitude guy in defense. He set the tempo a lot of times. He played through a lot of injuries, it seemed like. I think he was a little more hurt than what he led us on to believe. The guy is tough, he's physical, and he cares. He wants to win and he wants to do right. Hayes was re-signed as an unrestricted free agent in March and figures to play a prominent role on the Dolphins' defensive line. Practice report. The Dolphins practice in uppers, shoulder pads only, Wednesday. Tackle Jawan James was kept out of team drills as a precaution after sustained a muscle strain. Wide receiver Isaiah Ford's shoulder sat out practice after wearing a red non-contact jersey the past couple of practices. He joined offensive lineman Jake Brendel, calf, and tight end A.J. Derby, foot on the sideline. Rookie 7th-round pick Jason Sanders did the kicking Wednesday and was 6 for 7 on field goal attempts with a long of 42. Defensive tackle Vincent Taylor broke through the line of scrimmage to meet running back Kalen Ballage in the backfield on a running play. Cornerback Xavier Howard had a nice pass breakup on a deep pass from Ryan Tannehill intended for Kenny Stills. Linebacker Kiko Alonso had an interception on a 4th down play inside the red zone. Longtime Rams wide receiver Isaac Bruce, who played at Fort Lauderdale Dillard High, and new Dolphins Walk of Fame inductee Mark Duper were among the visitors at practice today. Nice. Yeah, and that's another thing. They love to bring in, veteran guys, old coaches, old players, ex-players, and stuff like that to come talk to the team and to help, mentor the guys. It's great, man. The Dolphins do so much right. And it's so crap that they get so much fucking criticism and hate. But that's going to change. Dolphins becomes a shark. Dolphins Vice Chairman Matt Higgins will be a feature as a guest host in the upcoming season on the ABC reality show Shark Tank. Okay. Higgins will be a guest shark, one of the tycoons listening to pitches from entrepreneurs in the hopes of landing an investment for their idea. The 10th season of Shark Tank will premiere Sunday, October 7th. Higgins said he already had taped his Shark Tank segments and wasn't allowed to divulge specific information, though he did call it a great experience. I actually met the folks at Sony through a mutual friend and told them a little bit about my backstory and what we do during the day. Higgins said, it's not that different than what they do on the show, and we just formed a great relationship and they made an invite. How do you pass that up? Higgins said. There was a simple reason he liked the show in the first place. I think you guys know this, but I literally came from nothing, Higgins said. I was 16 years old living in a shoebox apartment in Queens taking care of my sick mother. I had government cheese in the refrigerator, as poor as you can get. I think this country is about endless possibility. You have no excuses not to try to make the most of your life, and there's no room to be a victim. I think the show shows that every week, and if you're sitting with an idea at home and you can't sleep at 1:30 in the morning, that yes, you can give that idea a shot. You may just make it, and there's a group of very professional, successful people who are willing to help you get the rest of the way there. I probably watched every single episode. For me, it just represents everything that I've gone through in my whole life and my own journey as an entrepreneur, and it also helped give me an outlet to pay it forward to somebody who's trying to make that same transformation that I did as a kid. It doesn't mean they're coming out of poverty per se, but they're making hard decisions to leave their job, to mortgage their house, to give up their 401k. I love being a part of that dream. Like I said, it's what I do in the day all the time. I'm meeting with entrepreneurs who maybe they don't admit it, but deep down they're scared. They're doubting themselves. Did I make a mistake? And I'm like, you didn't make a mistake. We can make it work. Alright, just some interesting stuff there from Alan Pupar. Alright, and also from Alan Pupar is the Camp Insider. Dolphins return to practice after day off. Let's see, it's the highlight and observation. So Dolphins practice is in upper shoulder pads on Wednesday. Longtime Rams wide receiver Isaiah Bruce, and native of Fort Lauderdale, attended practice. Wide receiver Isaiah Ford's shoulder sat out practice after wearing a red non-contact jersey the past couple. He joined offensive lineman Jake Brendel, calf, and tight end AJ Derby, foot. On the sideline, tackle Jawan James did not participate in team drills. Sam Young took his spot with the first team offensive line. Jakeem Grant, Danny Amendola, Drew Morgan, Albert Wilson, and Kenyon Drake dropped back to field punts. Rookie 7th round pick Jason Sanders did the kicking Wednesday and was 6 for 7 with a long of 42. Drew Morgan had a nice catch in the back of the end zone during a 3-on-3 passing drill. Defensive tackle Vincent Taylor broke through the line of scrimmage to meet running back Kalen Ballage in the backfield. Cornerback Xavier Howard had a nice pass breakup on Kenny Stills from Ryan Tannehill, and Kiko Alonso had an interception on 4th down play in the red zone. Okay, so obviously some of that was just redundant, but there it is. So that's the majority of everything coming out today for Dolphins practice number 6 of training camp. And like I said, next week is our first preseason game, so we're finally going to be able to stop just making predictions and projections and stuff like that. We're actually going to have some tangible evidence and data to really start formulating some likely projections. It's all just speculation. We'll get to see some real stuff to just show us the tangible proof of what's happening with the team. But all right, guys, so I am gonna have a couple of the interviews and stuff like that on the end of this video. Hopefully this video shouldn't be an hour and 45 minutes like my last ones, but there will be some additional content at the end of this. So if you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, put your comments, stuff like that, questions if you have them, and definitely share them with your friends. So with that, I'll see you again soon. Fins up.
Jemmy here with right guard Jesse Davis. And Jesse, you get a break a little bit today coming inside the bubble compared to being outside in the humidity of South Florida. How's that for you guys as an offensive lineman?
Yeah, it's just big because you got the heat surrounding you and you can catch your breath a lot better. So you're not getting to the line and you're like, dang man, it's hot out here. But it's the first time we actually came in the bubble for training camp since I've been here, so it's kind of nice to be in the bubble.
You've been rolling at right guard with that first unit since OTAs, now coming into the 5th day of training camp. What's that experience been like for you? How's that cohesiveness? What does that bring to the offensive line?
It's nice. I'm at one position. Last year I was at multiple, switching back and forth, left to right, so now I'm at one stationary spot, playing next to my guys where I can, get a feel for. And, it's huge for me because, it puts me in that more rep mentality of, I've got more reps at this one spot, using my same hand, kicking the same way.
You mentioned playing next to guys. You've got one in Juwan on the outside and DK on the inside with Kilgore, the new face on an offensive line. How has that been for you, getting to learn guys for the first time and then getting reps with Juwan on the outside?
It's big, especially having Dan coming in here and, his mentality is awesome. So he understands everything and he brings a big asset to the table, knowing the defense, knowing the coaching staff, where we're going to go with the protection before the quarterback even says anything. And with Juwan's seen a lot of football, so he helps me out tremendously when defenses are rolling, safety rotation. It's been nice.
I know players are the most critical. You think coaches might be, but I think players hold themselves accountable most times at any level. What have you seen on tape you've liked? What have you seen on tape of yourself that you're working on?
With just myself? Or?
Yes,
okay.
Just yourself.
My right hand's coming alive. I'm hitting my target more on pass pro, which is nice. I've been working on that for a while. My sets are getting better, covering up the defender, which has been a pretty big priority for us in this OTAs and camp. And I just got to work on my pad level, same kind of stuff, technique stuff that every O-lineman that works on every day. So.
What does it mean to you to have Coach Washburn? I know he was in that accident before training camp started. Seen him come out here, he's hobbled on the crutches, but he's giving you everything he's got, both in the meeting room and on the practice field. For the offensive line as a group, I know you guys have been supporting him, but what does that mean seeing him out here just giving you everything he's got?
It's been great, you look at it, you're like, who's this guy out here on crutches, but he's a trooper, man. He's out here in the heat, battling with us, crutching it out. Lifting our spirits up, getting on our butts when he needs to. But, it's awesome. It's been my second year working with them now, so it's just great to have them out here.
Jesse, thanks for taking the time. Here with defensive tackle Akeem Spence. And Akeem, you get a little bit of a break today inside the bubble instead of outside in the heat. What was it like for you?
Definitely a good day, man. Last day before the break, got to come inside, got to beat the heat for a little bit, so I'm not complaining when we're inside.
You're a veteran of training camps. What's your experience been like in South Florida with the humidity outside for 3 or 4 days in a row?
Oh man, it's been pretty good, man. Just taking it one day at a time. Just get your body. Drink a lot, hydrate. Stretch, and just be ready for it day in, day out.
You guys look like you're ready up front. A lot of rotation up front, it seems like, through 4 or 5 practices. What does that mean to you as a veteran? It keeps everybody fresh, number one, but it gives everybody a lot of opportunities, number two.
Oh, absolutely, man. Just being able to have that hockey-type lineup, being able to go hard for 4 or 5 plays, give it all you got. Then, next guy coming in, going as hard as he can. Keeps us fresh, man, and it keeps, the O-line honest, because they're staying out there. We can beat them. But, it definitely helps on the defense side, being able to run to the ball, make plays down the field. It definitely helps out.
What have you seen in your game? Watching yourself on tape after practice, what do you like? What are you trying to work on? All those things you do in training camp.
I mean, it's just like every day, you're just trying to work on something. So, like today, I was working on my hands. Yesterday, I kind of noticed I was getting wide with them. So today, I just kind of focused, bring them in a little bit. And then just, just trying to bring the whole defensive tackle group along, show them what Chris is looking for. And then just every day getting better, man, working, trying to push one another. We push each other. The sky's the limit for this group.
You mentioned Chris, Coach Gase. He's a trip. There's no other way to put it. I mean, I just love the way he coaches because it seems like he gets you guys going, but he gets the entire unit going on that side. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I mean, because, the defensive line, this defense is going to go as far as we take them. So, us, every day we got to come, work, what I'm saying? We can't have no slacks. And Chris is big on that, every day he wants his guys come out, work, he coaches hard every day. It's not, I can't name a time of the day he's not coaching. He catch you in the hallway, he's going to try to coach you up. So, I mean, he just wants the best for his guys and his players, just want them to be the best. So he's going to give you everything he has every day, and we're going to give it to him as well.
You can only get better doing it that way. Thanks for spending some.
Oh man, it's awesome, man. I didn't have the opportunity when I was in high school to come out here and just see how a professional athlete, prepare for the game, and game being so far away, and see how concentrated they is. I feel like it's a great job that they get the high schools out here and just get the opportunity to see it.
Does it take you back a little bit to your time at Port St. Lucie High School and thinking like your dreams of maybe being in the NFL one day?
Yeah, definitely. It's still coaches there that was there when I was there, so to see him out here and just see still he's still leading them in the right direction is definitely a good feeling.
What do you hope they learn out here or see from you out here?
Just how to prepare, just to, that their dream is possible, coming from the same high school I did, to come here and just play professional football. So, I hope it gives them, a little pep in their step of what they want to accomplish.
What's your best memory of the time you spent there?
Whew, I had a lot of good memories, man. Growing up playing football with your high school friends and your childhood friends is great. But, just scoring a lot of touchdowns, man. It's just, all good going back to Port St. Lucie High School.
If you could go back and tell the 14-year-old Albert Wilson something, what would you tell him?
Oh, man, I feel like at 14, I was pretty straightforward and had my mind made up of playing football. So, don't doubt yourself. There was a lot of times I doubted myself and figured if this was for me or not. I stayed with it and found out it was for me. So, just go back then and just tell myself, don't doubt myself.
Albert, you've been using a lot of different spots out here. How much do you enjoy moving from one spot to another?
Oh, man, it's great, man. Just being able to just get out there and line up, man, and just grind with my brothers is great.
Does it matter where you line up on?
Oh, no, it doesn't, man. Whatever they need me to do, I'm down for it, man. Coach Gase does a great job of, getting guys lined up everywhere. So he's a great guy. I fully trust him and have faith in him. So I just pretty much just listening and just getting lined up where he need me to be.
So how you been feeling out there?
I'm feeling good, feeling healthy. Just trying to get better every day and compete.
Look, what's the competition like when you have so many guys back there and it seems like everybody's looking pretty good in the defensive backfield right now?
It's a good competition. We all learning from each other. We all coming out here and competing every day and just trying to get better. That's it.
How close to the level that you were in 2016 you feel like you are?
I'm pretty close. I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling back to myself. Just trying to, every day take it one day at a time, just keep going.
Tony, I talked to Raekwon a couple days ago, and he was telling me you, Ryan, and him were working out, even testing each other on 40 times. You had him a couple of times. Is that the first indication that you started to feel like yourself?
Yeah, we was grinding for a long time. We was always seeing each other every day, just competing against each other within the training room and out here, conditioning and things like that. So we always just keep a competition, keep competing. That just keep us going hard and going well with each other, and that's it.
How nice is it to have that competitive edge, to keep that competitive edge even during rehab process?
It's always good because, you always want to be out here on the field, but when you're not on the field, you can still compete, you can still get better, and that's what we was just trying to do when we wasn't out here. And I feel like we got each other better every day, so it was a good cause.
You feel any rust coming back, or you have to shake that pretty quick considering the rehab process?
Hey, just grinding every day. It is what it is, just grinding, just get in.
But does it matter if it's first team, second team? You're getting a lot of looks from a lot of receivers, a lot of guys on that side too.
Yeah, right now it really don't matter. Just trying to continue to get right every day, come out here with a positive mindset no matter where I'm at, and just play. Just keep getting better. It's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging, whatever it is. Just come out here and get better every day.
Sometimes when guys come back from injury, the injury is kind of in the back of their mind for a little while. Are you still at that point, or is it completely out of your mind when you're on the field?
I feel like it's out of my mind. I don't think about it. I don't ever question myself out here because I know the hard work I put in through this whole last year. So I don't second guess myself out here about when I'm cutting or running or anything like that, jumping. I don't second guess myself. I just go.
How well has Laramie taken to Josh's mentoring, to Sitton's mentoring, and how hard was Laramie on himself last year? Obviously, he's a prideful guy, had great success last year, uneven. How hard was he after last season on himself?
I think he was really he adjusted during the season. So as we went through that first part, he wasn't happy with his performance. He made some adjustments and some of his routine as far as whether it was meetings on the field, what he did off the field, post-practice, his recovery, this film study. I think he made some adjustments there, which really helped him. And then when he went back, I think he almost looks at it as like two different seasons. And he knew he made the right adjustments, and it made sense to him. And I think adding Josh to the mix is a good mentor for him, to where the communication's been really good between those two. And really that chemistry, when we watch them practice and some of the things that occur with what our defense does, they do a good job of talking about it before practice, during practice, after a play. I just think that relationship is really going well, and those guys are working well together.
Adam, was that the first time that Ryan's gone to the ground since 2016?
I can't say for sure, but I think there's been a couple other times where, whether it was not this spring, but I think last spring in training camp a couple times before he got hurt, he kind of got hit a little bit and knocked into the ground.
Did you hold your breath at all when that happened?
I wasn't sure what happened. I just saw a couple bodies there, and it turned out he got some cleats to the shin.
Was Cam apologetic, or was it just a?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Adam, a couple of housekeeping things. I think Josh Sitton did not do all the individuals team stuff Monday, and then Juwan didn't do all the team stuff today. Veterans rest days for them?
Josh was really, we were trying to not practice Josh. We're trying to be careful about how many times we go in pads with him. He's played, quite a bit of football over his career. We're just trying to be smart when we get the pads on with him, and just kind of make sure that we're not going 2, 3, 4 days in a row with him in pads, and really he wanted to do individual, so that's why he was even dressed. And then Juwan, we're being a little precautionary. He kind of had a muscle strain, so we're trying to get more information on that right now, but I don't think anything was alarming. We were just being a little cautious.
Adam, how is Lippett looking to you coming off the injury in terms of mobility and not keeping the injury in the back of his
I think he's had some days where he's looking more like he was in 2016. I think he's had some days where, you know, he has a tough matchup a lot of the times because it seems like he's on Akeem quite a bit, you know, and that'll test you right out the gate, you know, as far as being able to transition and trying to, you know, stay with a guy with really good speed. So, you know, I think he's just has to focus on what he's doing right now. He's got to put that injury behind him, and I think eventually, you know, that'll move away from him. I think it's going to happen more when we start playing games and, you know, we can get tackling and it gets a little more, you know, physical, more real for him. I think once he gets into a preseason game, all that'll just go behind him and he'll be able to go play.
Adam, is the A.J. Derby absence looking like more of a short-term or a long-term thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's long-term, whatever you consider long-term. I know right now it's day-to-day. It's the best answer I can give you right now.
How's Charles Harris looking?
I mean, he's doing what they're asking him to do. You know, so for me, it's hard sometimes because we're asking these guys to stay away from the quarterback, but at the same time, you know, work their craft. And, you know, those guys are really – there's those 8 guys that are rotating in there with that first group, but they're applying a lot of pressure. And, you know, he's one of the guys doing that. And he seems like he's wired in. He's doing every little detail that Chris is looking for him to do. And, you know, once we hit real games, then really that's going to be easier for us to say, okay, here's where we're at with you know, his development and where do we need to go next.
What would you like to see Carew do throughout the preseason?
Really, for him, it's just playing games. You know, sometimes in practice you get so many reps, and you know we're trying to, you know, be balanced as far as what we're calling in practice so we can work on certain things. So, you know, when you play receiver in practice, the limited amount of reps you get, you probably catch more balls in routes versus air or individual than you know, a lot of guys do in practice. You know, you never really see anybody with like 10 catches in a practice. It's, you know, it's spread out pretty good where guys are getting 3 or 4 balls, and, you know, it can get frustrating, but, you know, guys, we're looking at, all right, how are we running routes? How are we coming out of breaks? How are our releases? How is our blocking? And really when we get to those preseason games, that's where guys need to separate themselves at that position.
Adam, whether it was correct or incorrect, we blamed Kiko for a lot of tight end coverage stuff last year. Social media did. Do you think he pays attention to any of that stuff? Do you think he hears it?
No, I don't. So.
How would you describe him in that sense? He seems to kind of.
I think he's focused on really what we're doing in this building. I don't think he worries about anything that's going outside of here. You know, he's a very good professional, and he focuses on what he's asked to do, and he tries to get better every day, and whatever he has that day, he gives it to you. You know, and it's when he makes plays like he did today, you know, that's good to see, because he's been a guy that's just been he's been steady since he's been here. You know, he's played through a couple injuries that I'm sure it wasn't the most comfortable situations a few times, where he just doesn't say a word and just goes out and tries to make plays and help us win.
Adam, William Hayes is a guy that nobody seems to be talking a whole lot about. Is he one of those veterans that you just know come the regular season you can count on him?
Well, I mean, we notice him in practice. I know our players notice him. He does a great job, and every day's a game to him. You know, he doesn't take any plays off. He takes everything he does as serious as anybody I've ever been around. And he's one of those guys. When we traded for him, and you know, when he got injured last year, that was a big swing for us, because he was really our attitude guy on defense. He set the tempo a lot of times, and you know, he played through a lot of injury. It seemed like, you know, I think he was a little more hurt than what he let us on, you know, to believe. And you know, that guy is tough. He's physical, and he cares. He wants to win. He wants to do right.
What do you want to see from the team practice-wise this week heading into the scrimmage?
I think it's just the competition. Just want to stay competitive. You know, today I thought it was good. It kind of started leaning one way. I thought it was great to see Cam call the defense up and put an emphasis on, hey, this is not how we're going to play. And you saw a change in tempo there. And, you know, you know, when we have turnovers on offense, you know, it's easy for me to sit there and go, we got to hold on the ball, but you know, the defense is causing those. I mean, there's some really good clean hitting going on to where a guy's popping some of these running backs or wide receivers, and you know, they're applying pressure to the quarterback. I mean, they turned it up, and that was good to see. And the offense, we got to do the same thing when it starts getting to be one of those type of practices where the intensity is going up. Both sides have to match each other, you know, and when one side gets higher than the other one, that's when you see that side of the ball probably dominate the rest of practice.
Is the offense overall, for the 6 days I think it's been, has it been what you wanted it to be, or do you feel like there's a lot of work to do there?
I mean, there's always going to be a lot of work, no matter what phase you're talking about. You're always going to be pushing to get better. And I like a lot of the things that we're doing. We're making such a emphasis on the pre-snap penalties and turnovers, and we just have to stay clean on those type of things. There can't be any lackadaisical moments for either side of the ball. Those, like us being in the back half, really the worst team in the league the last 2 years. I mean, that's embarrassing. Like that has to be not part of our storyline anymore. And I think that's really the biggest thing we're always looking for. Let's have a clean practice to where we don't have those kind of issues.
And how have you done with that?
There's been good days, and then there's been a couple days where it's beyond frustrating, and you know, guys feel it, whether it's from me or Dal or from Matt, and you know, you want to put that kind of pressure on those guys, and you want them to feel that, because when we get in a real game, that's what it is. And if you're feeling it and you start making more mistakes and it's too big for you, then we got to get somebody else in there.
What kind of improvement have you seen from Vincent Taylor from last training camp?
A lot of these guys that are in their second year, they take that step up. They know what they're doing already. And to me, it looks like he's able to play faster. He's able to attack more. And seeing him pursue the ball, I mean, he is really taking to how Chris coaches. And he's one of those guys that he just loves what he does. And he loves being out there, and you love the effort that he gives day in, day out. And he's making plays. He's getting in the backfield. He's disrupting the run game. You know, he's just trying to find a way to get a little bit better every day. And that's all you're really asking for your guys. Are you a guy that's getting better every day? Or are you trying to stay the same? Or are you in it? You know, we want the guys that are always trying to work to improve a little bit each day, because by the end of the season, it pays off for you.
And Adam, what do you need to see out of Raekwon in the scrimmage and the rest of the preseason to prove and sure that he is ready to be the play caller?
See, I think we're in a good place for us with what he does. We're trying to just make sure we keep it tight to where his mind doesn't go all. Being a smart player, you know, he's not thinking about too much. We don't want to slow him down. We want him to play fast. I think he's doing a good job of making sure that group is good with the calls. There's communication going on. You know, it's just the more looks he sees right now, the better. And it'll get easier for him in that capacity to where it's just instincts instead of, all right, if they do this, I got to think of this adjustment. So, you know, there's some work to do still, but overall, we like where he's at. We're just going to keep working to improve him.
A couple more guys.
Adam, what have you liked about Stephon Anthony coming in the second year, and just, you know, what he brings to your linebacking core?
It's very similar to, you know, some of the younger guys that were here last year, and it's their second year, which where, you know, he's more comfortable. He understands the defense. He's able to play faster. You know, really, I see his value is when we actually can go into a game and it's live tackling. I think that's where he has that experience of making a lot of tackles throughout his rookie season. He had a phenomenal season, made a ton of tackles. He does it well. When we, you know, played him a little bit this past season, he was involved in a lot of plays. He's around the ball, and we just want to keep growing him in that capacity. You know, the more spots he knows, the better. And I think it's just he can give us a lot of flexibility, because there is a lot of he can do. He's a good sized guy that can run really well. And when you have a guy like that, we just have to keep getting him better.
Adam, how much can you learn in terms of Jason Sanders during training camp? Is that just more of an in-game situation?
Man, I can't believe you're asking me about kickers. I mean, you can try to apply pressure in practice. Rizzy does some, we try to make it feel like a game. That's why we do field goals when we do them, and just kind of the transition of what's going on with the offense and defense. And then we'll do situations to where we do a 2-minute drill, and it's on him really to win the game, whether it be a field goal, extra point, however we set it up. But really, it's going to be preseason games. It's how's his reaction there, how's his consistency. That's really how we're going to evaluate it. And plus, my trust in Rizzy and Moof is off the charts. So I'm always going to lean on those guys.
Last question. Adam, how would you describe Leonte Carew's situation right now? He seems like he's on the very outside.
He has to just keep battling. He can't look at what anybody's saying, depth chart, however you want to look at it, how many reps. Just keep playing football. He knows that preseason games is where his best opportunities are going to come.
Why do you say that? As opposed to practice, because games are...
Some of the times practice is scripted. There's just not a ton of plays, You're working on the run and pass game, and then when you get in the preseason game, his snaps go up. They almost, it feels like it triples, especially at the beginning of the preseason. Like, guys get a lot of opportunities between preseasons 1, 2, and 4. That's where you can get great evaluations on the wide receivers.